hope you all are ready to have a lot of fun with these boxes. Now I pulled this out of my stash and I'm going to use this Tim Holtz paper, and this box is actually a Tim Holtz box. I'm going to put the logo up in the corner. You'll see it just so you'll know what his branding looks like. I'm using this glue stick, and it's one of my favorite glue sticks. I'll have that also up in the corner for you guys to see. I'm just going to glue on both the wood piece and on the paper. That just gives it a great double way to stick. Now I also am showing you that Recollection's my favorite glue stick, but I show you my second favorite one coming up. I think it's Craft Bond or something like that, if I don't have or can't get the Recollections. Alright, once we get that kind of glued down, I'm going to make sure it's smoothed out and in all the corners. We're going to turn this into something that is just pleasing to the eye, or pleasing to my eye. It's kind of a mix between dark and vintage and just kind of quirky. Now once I get this smoothed down, I'm going to go ahead and use some black chalk paint. Just give it a good coat. I think I only needed to give it one. This black chalk paint, it's by Folk Art. It's super coverage. Once we get that done, we're going to do something different to the paint because I don't want it so stark. The paper I have is very worn looking and I want it to kind of blend with it. So we're going to use some of this DIY white wax, and I'm just brushing it on pretty thick and I'm rubbing it back, giving it that kind of worn look, faded, to blend in with that paper. But we're not going to stop there. Once we get done with this part, you'll see what we do with the next part. Alright, so after I get the outside done, I'm taking my brush and I go around the inner edge with the brush and give it this cool, like white shadowy line. Wait till y'all see it. It's my favorite part of the white waxing, other than the overall look it gives. But it almost gives it this little, I don't know, see it right there? That is so cool to me. Anyways, I do that kind of all the way around the edge and then blend that out a little bit again to make the black look faded to match the paper. Once we get that finished, then I'm going to pull out one of my Prima waxes in green. Now I've had this one for a long time. These actually come in tubes now and you can find them on Amazon. I'll try to have them linked in my description box below. But I'm pulling out some of the green of that paper, which this is definitely a lot brighter, but it's still just, to me, I love the way that it looks. I'm just taking my finger and kind of rubbing some on the outer edges, but not completely covering those whole sides. I don't really want the whole sides covered. I just want you to be able to see a hint of the green here and there on the outside of the box. I just dug through some of my stuff and pulled out some pieces. They don't all match, but that's okay because this, like I said, is a little quirky project. I'm going to be using these metal corners and some other pieces that I had, this little older doll, and you're going to see me just kind of lay out some things to see how I want them before I actually glue them down. I'm kind of what you would call auditioning the pieces to see if they fit where I want them to go. This is also, this number letter metal piece is a Tim Holtz piece, as well as some of these gears, not all of them. What I'm doing now is grabbing some of these little, oh gosh, I always forget the name of these things. Brads, maybe? I don't think they're brads, but they go inside of the label if you want to attach them to something, but I'm just going to use them as a faux rivet on this label. So I'm just going to open it up and then cut off the excess and put a little bit of glue to hold them in place before I glue the label down. I'm using my little pliers here to kind of smash them. They come with 2 prongs on the back that holds them in place. Now we're going to add these wings, and I'm just going to be using some E6000 for long term and some hot glue for short term hold so that my pieces don't slide when I lay them down. I found this cool ring frame and I thought this would look so cool behind my little doll's head to kind of make her look like an angel and match the wings. So I'm just using those same glues and putting it kind of right where I want my doll's head to go. We're going to be using the same glue to glue our doll down. This is going to hold her just fine. Now, I don't know if I mentioned she's a little porcelain doll. I think she's called a Frozen Charlotte. I have a few of these I've been wanting to turn into vignettes, so this is the perfect time to do one of these in this altering boxes video. I just want to take the time to say hey to everyone and welcome back if you've been here for a while, and if you haven't and you're new, welcome. So happy you are here. I see a lot of you new people in the comments, and of course a lot of the ones that have been here for a while. We talk almost every week in the comments. We've kind of been doing more of the same while I was talking, just adding those two glues and adding more metal pieces. I thought this arrow would look great over that shelf just as a little trim out for it. And then I've already added a couple gears. I'm not sure if you can see them. It's a little dark in the bottom of that box, but I add this old watch piece that came out of all that jewelry my sister gave me. I just took the band off of it. And just a few more pieces to kind of tie this in together. Now I could have added even more, but I really wanted to make sure it wasn't too overwhelming. I have this broken base off of a candlestick. I dropped it and this completely cracked off almost perfect. So I'm just going to use it. I'm not going to paint it. It's like a rich brown, and I thought that would be just another color to add. And I'm using this little tin topper that came off of one of my little products that I have. And I'm using it to give me a flat surface for my box to be glued to. And I'm just going to use the same glues. And on the top, we're going to do the same with a water faucet, vintage water faucet knob, and part of a lamp piece to make it look like a little bronze metal button on the top of that. I really like how this one turned out, and I'm actually keeping this one in my collection. I hope you guys like it. Our next project is giving off Bridgerton vibes. I also have another project that's giving those same vibes coming up closer to the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now, a lot of people has been talking about Bridgerton and making projects related to it, so I thought I'd throw a couple in here. I actually started watching season 3 the day after it came out and started working on these boxes during that time. I was so excited. I love that era and the costumes from that show. Alright, so this box is gorgeous anyways, but I wanted to remake it, and I'm using this Sea Haze paint in blue. I've actually been kind of digging on the powder blue lately. I'm not a big blue fan, but I love this color. Now, once we get this painted, I'm going to let this dry, and I'm not painting the bottom inside or the top, because once this dries, you're going to see here that I'm just using that decoupage paper. I'm pretty sure this is from Aunt Bee's Attic. She sent me this. It's Autumn Sage Designs. And she sent me this a while back, and I just haven't used it, but I'm using it today. It's going to match perfect what we're doing. I'll have the link for this in the description box below. Now we're going to be using this IOD stamp, and it is the Toile stamp. I'm not sure exactly what the name of this is. I'll try to have that down there as well. Aunt Bee's Attic has IOD stamps as well. If you use the link in my description box below, just know it is an affiliate link, and I get a tiny, tiny bit to pay towards products to use in these videos. This paint color I'm using is called Turkish Tile by Folk Art. I'm going to be using it and rolling it with my little brayer. Now, this is a Tim Holtz brayer. You can pick up brayers just about anywhere. I love rolling paint onto these stamps. It just makes such a gorgeous painterly effect. I'm just going to stamp this and let it do what it's going to do. It does end up looking very distressed, which is fine. I could have stamped back over it to clear it more or clarify it more, but I decided I liked the way it looked, so that's what we're going with. Now, you all know I like to kind of take what paint is left on the brayer and roll around the edges of whatever it is that I've stamped to add that color in and kind of give it a distressed look, kind of a rough look. If you want the crisp look, definitely don't do this, because it does give it quite a distressed look. Plus tying that paint color in with the stamped color. I went ahead and put some little feet on this. I think this is adorable to put little letters in, little private items that are just really sweet and definitely giving me a little bit of Bridgerton vibes. Y'all will have to let me know. I went ahead and opened it up, and I did put two different color or 2 different patterns of Autumn Sage decoupage. They were all on the same paper, but they were different designs, so I put a toile on the top and a different toile on the bottom. Let me know what you all think of this one. This project is definitely one of my favorite, so I spoiled myself a little bit with some of Tim Holtz's new line that he just came out with. This is part of his Ideology line, and it has some of the paper dolls or the lost relatives. This line has houses in it and cars, which is a little different. I also purchased a couple packs of the clear kind of acetate butterflies and floral designs. I hadn't bought those yet for one of his other releases. These are new stitched frames from his new release. And he also brought out a gorgeous book. So here is a couple of the packs of the acetate pieces that I hadn't purchased. I went ahead and purchased them when I was purchasing these new items. Now, I didn't purchase everything. He brought out a lot more stuff this year. I just pick out kind of what I like, my favorites, and get those. He brought out this huge book of stamps that are all different colors. And he brought out some, well, before we get to that, there's a blank set of stamps in the back that you can also, he's got a set of stamps in his line. I have those. You can make your own stamps. So he left a blank page for you to do that. And then he brought out some of this really old kind of yellowy tape that we all who make junk journals have made over the years, but he decided to go ahead and make some pre-made and bring it out this year. So this next project is going to feature some of those items. This had, okay, so my sister got me all of that stuff and jewelry you've seen in the other videos. This lady that she got the stuff from, the estate, also had boxes of cards, brand new cards. So I have a ton of those. I've been using them in my craft surprise bags for my, or mystery bags for my vendor booth. But I saved some, and this box is a magnetic box, so I'm going to go ahead and give it, it's very sturdy, I'm giving it a good coat of chalk paint. You can see one coat is pretty much coloring it, and that insert that we took out, here is the box painted with that one coat, and we're going to use this insert because we're going to cover it in this Tim Holtz paper. Now, you could use any kind of cardstock. You can even print off patterns off of the internet onto just regular white paper, you know, dig through your stash. You don't have to go out and buy the Tim Holtz stuff. You know, I love his stuff. I always have, and I try to purchase some of his stuff maybe once a year, once every 2 years. Basically, what I'm doing or did was just cut around that or trace around that and then cut it out, and then use my glue stick to just add that to the top of that insert. Once we get that, or once I get that glue on there, I'm going to use my brayer and just smash it down or roll it over really good and make that insert a different color than the purpley blue like the box was. Now we're just going to refold those natural lines in that piece. I'm going to go ahead and start preparing some of the items that's going to go on the inside. Now, this is one of those clear acetate butterflies, but I want some more scripting in the background, even though this has scripting on it. So I'm kind of cutting it to where the straw hats is more on a blank space of this piece of background paper. That way it doesn't overlap too much on the text. Once I get that cut out, and then I'm going to use my glue stick to put the acetate just on the edges. You don't need a lot of glue for this acetate. It's going to stick with that glue stick. And then I'm going to use one of those frames and do the same thing to the front of that. So this is going to be our focal piece to go on this insert for the inside of our box. I'm going to go ahead and put those to the side, let them start drying while I work on our box. I have a vision for this, and it doesn't turn out exactly, but it comes pretty close. I'm using this old school, it's kind of it looks black, but it's not. It's a dark gray DIY clay paint. You can use any black or dark charcoal. This is going to get covered. It's just our base. I'd already painted this box white, but I wanted to cover all that purple, and I wanted a good white to start with. Once we get this good coat of the like a charcoal gray on here, we're going to let that dry so we can start our paint process, and here's where it gets messy and a lot of fun, you guys. So I pulled out several different colors of grays and whites from my DIY line. I want to mix this together with the sponge, kind of how we've done in some other videos. If you watch my videos with painting, we're going to do similar to the same process. We're going to spray a little water, and we're going to give this a multicolor of the black, or that gray, the light gray, the white, because we need this for what I'm going to do on the top of this. I want these different colors. So what I have in mind is adding some rust, kind of rust metallic to this, a little bit of green and some silver. I saw an older piece that I jelly printed that had greens, rust color, silvers, and this base color that we're doing, and I knew that I wanted to kind of recreate that with this box, because it's just a box that was going to get thrown away, or yeah, you know, you can use it for storage the way it was, but why not make it cool? And we're going to do something to the inside on both pieces and on the front. All right, so I've kind of gotten my center the way I like it, a little bit light, and a little bit of a shadow all around the edges. And before we do the next step, I'm going to have to let this part dry, because I don't want for my paint to get real muddy, and it will if you don't let some of the layers dry. I used my heat tool and dried this a little bit. It's not completely dry. I don't mind having a little bit of wet paint to mix in with what I'm doing. Plus, I'm going to use my sponge that already has some paint on it, and it's still wet. But I've gotten out my acrylic inks, and this is a bronze color. I actually have a bronze and then a copper, and just kind of mixing them in, and you'll see me do what I always do. I go back and forth. I put some of this on, I'll put some of the grays, some of the whites, I'll put it in different kind of like on the edges, but then maybe just a tad in the middle. I'm going to do the edges of the box the same way that we're doing the top of it and the back. You won't see all of that, but I'm just kind of giving you the overall view of kind of how I do this. Alright, so you'll see right now I'm adding some silver alcohol ink to this. I love adding alcohol inks. Especially the metallic ones. I mean, I have a lot of just the regular colors, but I use the metallics the most. And you'll see what we do with the silver coming up. It really makes the whole project look totally different. I'm adding a little bit of that green in there, the pine green, and of course just going back and forth with the different colors of copper and bronze inks. Adding in the silver. You know, I'm just going to do this over and over until I get the look the way that I want it. And that's the best part about playing with paint, is just playing with it until you get it how you want it. Not what you think someone else might like, but what you like. So we're just going to do this for a little bit, and then I keep adding, again, more bronze. The layers building up really makes a difference, especially once we seal them with a clear coat, because with the DIY paint, it's not exactly the color it's going to be until you seal it. And even though we're using other paints and, you know, acrylic inks and alcohol inks, we still need to seal that DIY paint layer that's under there to get the true color. So I've just taken a brush and adding a different type of texture and even shape instead of just a sponge to, again, change this up, add some different types of a look to it. I want to encourage you all to grab out anything that you aren't, you know, saving for something special, or even just a piece of cardboard from a box to play with paint on it. And if you don't have paint, grab some from the Dollar Tree. Actually, the Walmart brand Apple Barrel is great. It's really cheap. You can get, you know, 10 different colors for like $5 and play with it. It is not only fun, it's therapeutic, and it just makes me feel good. I enjoy it. So you're going to see I'm taking that silver alcohol ink and I'm just splashing it all over. I'm going to blend a little bit, but not too much. This is what's going to give our piece a totally different look. Once I finish the sides with some of that silver, I'm taking this brush with a little bit of dark gray and kind of outlining that whole edge and adding just a... I'm going to go ahead and clear coat this with my matte chalked clear coat by RUSTOLEUM and let that dry. Then we're going to give just a little bit of a coat of this gray and a little bit of that charcoal gray kind of around the edges. I really didn't even need to paint the front of this box, the inside front, because we end up covering that up, but I needed to make sure that there was paint where it needed to be. Now I went ahead and added some of that bronze as well on the inside edges, and then I hot glued our base that we made in there, and I used a glue stick to do this other wallpaper on the front inside. I'm just going to glue the piece that we put together earlier and add a few other little tickets and tags and just things that I think the colors will go good with this butterfly, and put them in a position that they would look good around this. I'm using things with letters and numbers, just anything that kind of gives it its own unique look. I'm going to do the same for the inside cover of the box and on the cover. Now on the cover I don't get on camera, but it's similar to what we're doing now. I go ahead and also add some tape to the edge inside of this, and I add some paint all around the edge of those girls to kind of shade that area in and give it a sort of halo look. I'm also using my crocodile and a rivet to put a ribbon on each side of this to be able to tie my box closed. This project was also a lot of fun to make, and here is a video of the box opened and closed. This is just a cute little keepsake box you could give to someone as a little gift. You could also put your own photos instead of using stock images like I did for a gift for someone. Let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments below. This next project is going to be pretty easy. It is a beautiful vintage recipe box. I only gave $1.50 for this. I love the look at it. I actually love the natural wood, but it had some scratches on it and a little dents and dings. So I thought we would add a couple coats of that Turkish tile in that blue color to this just to freshen it up. Now when you look down in this, it has 2 slots for recipe cards. I've never seen one with a double slot for recipes. So what we're going to do, like I said, is give this a couple coats of this chalk paint, and then we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing with that baby blue sea haze just to kind of bring out some of those embossed or debossed areas to highlight the word recipe, and then also the floral motif that's on here. Now you definitely don't have to do this. You can leave this part off. You could take some gold rub and buff. I think that would be cool, or even some silver rub and buff. I haven't done silver in a long time. Maybe we'll start using some more of that, since I have enjoyed using that silver alcohol ink on that other project that we did. Like I said, this one's pretty easy and simple, and I just wanted to give this a little freshen up, and I'm going to pop this in my vendor booth and sell it. I hope you all like this one. This next project, we're going to do something a little different than what we've done in the last few boxes. Now, I will let you know I did lose some footage of painting the outside, but that's okay. You're going to get this view of me painting it. On the inside, I'm using Kissing Booth and French Millinery from DIY, just a tad of that Kissing Booth to change the purple up a little bit. I go ahead and give this a good coat. It's a carved box from India, and it was quite dry and just cracked, and I thought that a little fresh coat of paint would look really good. So once we get the coat on the outside and around those edges, we're going to take this sample of fabric. Now I went ahead and cut 2 pieces of cardboard or white cardstock to use to put my fabric on so that I could wrap it. Isn't this beautiful? And look at those kind of plums and pinks and that orange. I think this is going to look great inside of this box. So it's just a sample. You can see the little rivet in the corner up there that came off of a fabric sample hoop. What I'm going to do is cut the pieces to go over the cardstock for the top and the bottom and glue them around the edges so that the lining is basically what we're making will have a finished edge. Instead of just cutting it and then gluing it the whole square of fabric, we'll just use the hot glue gun to attach this fabric around the edges of these squares, making sure that we get it, you know, kind of tight, and then we'll place both of these in the bottom and the top. We're just going to use some hot glue on the fabric that's already there and around those edges, and put this in there, insert it, and kind of firmly push it down into the hot glue so it'll stay in place. And we're going to do that to the top and the bottom. I did make the fabric samples different. It's the same fabric piece, but I made, you'll see coming up with the photos, I made sure they looked different. All right, so now I'm just using my autumn gold rub and buff because I thought that putting this over those flowers would be gorgeous, and then also tie in with that orange on the fabric. And then this piece is done. You guys will have to let me know if you love this one as much as I do. This next project was the first box I made while watching season 3 of Bridgerton, and I had so much fun. I was given a couple cigar boxes. They're not old, they're just newer, and I thought, ooh, I'm gonna make this over with some of this paper that I have, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the box. It actually has a wood bottom on it, but the top and the sides, I don't think they're wood. They feel, well, at least the lid feels more like hard cardboard. All I'm going to do with this is use my glue stick and put some vintage music paper over the sides, and I think I even do that on the inside. I don't know, we'll see coming up. I'm just using a ruler to tear my paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to look handmade, of course. So once I get the music paper everywhere that I want it, I'm using my brayer to kind of roll that as well. I'm using this Anna Griffin blue paper. Isn't that beautiful? I just do the same thing. I cut it out to fit the inside of the box, and I use my glue stick and I place it on the bottom. We're gonna make some decor on the top and the inside of the lid. So the first thing I want to use is this beautiful, what's called Wallpaper by Tim Holtz, and it has all these blues and pinks, and it's just going to go great with some of this Anna Griffin stuff I have, or Griffin. Anyways, I have had this stuff for a long time in my paper supplies, so I'm going to use some of them. These cute little paper dolls. They look so Victorian. They definitely look like the Bridgerton era. I can't talk. I'm at the end of this video. Oh my goodness. And I want her torso to show and just a little bit of her dress. So what I'm going to do is cut her off at the bottom, use my glue stick, put that blue background behind her so she'll be distinctive from that pink paper, and make her white lace frame pop. Now these lace frames are another Tim Holtz product, and I've had these for years. I don't know when they came out, but it's been quite a while. So like I said, we're just gonna put this little blue paper down, put our little paper doll on top, our frame on top of that, and then add a few more little pieces that'll kind of blend that piece of pink paper in with the music paper and that gap at the bottom. I left that gap so we could put some other things like butterflies and maybe flowers. I just want to take this time to say thank you all for stopping by my channel, spending a little bit of time with me creating and just having a good time. I hope you all get some inspiration from this video. I know I get inspiration in the comments from you all. You all are very inspiring. You cheer me on, and I love it. And I hope that I'm able to do the same for you in these videos. Now, we'll have pictures of this one at the end. You'll have to let me know if you like this. Again, this is all just paper products. And if you don't have these items, you can print things off. Etsy has tons of digital downloads. I know the Graphics Fairy has a lot of free digital downloads, especially from the Victorian era. So you just go to thegraphicsfairy.com and type in what you're looking for and then print those off. Now these are some more Anna Griffin little, I guess, stage type curtains, and I thought that we would take these 4 ladies from my Tim Holtz paper dolls and just set them center stage and put them by that little yellow piece that kind of looks like it's a Victorian motif. Add a little bit of lace on our bottom there just to give it a little more of a feminine touch. I did add some of those square wood beads from the Dollar Tree for feet on this box, and used a little bit of antique gold rub and buff all around the edges and corners just to give it a little bit of a blended in look. Let me know what you all think of this one in the comments below, and did you like these boxes from this video? What videos would you like to see me do next? I will see you all soon and in the next video. Thank you again for watching. See you real soon.